Hello there everyone, today's video is all about benefit in kind and company cars. Now I think most people are aware that if you drive a company car, then you have a benefit in kind, which means that you have to pay a bit of income tax for the privilege of use of that company asset. So how it's calculated is all to do with the timing. So if you're driving a company car all the time, both for business and personal use, it's made available to you throughout the year, say. But when the car is not made available, there is no benefit in kind. And this particular court case that I'm going to tell you about, they tested the concept of what does it mean to be made available in terms of that car being made available to the employee, who was also a director of the company, but still an employee. The BIC rules still apply. So, like I said, all hinges on this term available. Now, in this particular court case, this guy had two real fancy cars. It was an old vintage Ford, and there was a Maserati. And basically, he said, these cars that the company owned were not available for me as the director because I did the following: put in a SORN, statutory off-road notice, filed a SORN with the DVLA and paid no vehicle excise duty, which basically means that it would have been illegal for him to drive those cars on the public highways after that, because he didn't pay any tax and he'd submitted a SORN. So he said to the tax authorities, and when it went to the court as well, he said, look, surely the car is not made available to me because I've put this SORN in, it's off the road. And HMRC's argument was simply that, no, that's not what, just because it's illegal to drive that car in those circumstances doesn't mean it's not made available. There's nothing in the tax rules that talks about made available where it refers to it being legally allowed to be driven. So HMRC kicked that out of the water, which on first sight, it seems like the taxpayer, you think, well, actually, how can it be available if it legally can't drive it? But no, HMRC said that doesn't matter in the slightest. And the tribunal agreed with HMRC. So basically, there are two ways where the vehicle is deemed to be not made available. And the two are, one, when it's physically prevented from being made available, where you just cannot physically get your hands on it. And two, where it's expressly prohibited by the employer. So if you can tick those boxes, then yes, the car will be not available for use and you can avoid the benefit in kind. However, I would say that the first one is pretty hard to do, especially if you've got a small company and you've got the car knocking about on the business premises, on wherever it is, you've got access to the car. How can you physically be prevented from driving the car? So then you've got to rely on the second strand, which is it prohibited by the employer? And there has been another case, went through the court several years ago, that said actually, yes, if there is written documentary evidence that specifically prohibit the employee or the director, that they cannot access the car at certain times, certain conditions, then yes, that would work. So what are we talking about? Well, things like board resolutions, letter of agreements, staff handbook, all these things, if you've got it written down that says you cannot have access to this car in certain time periods, or when can you, when can't you have access to the car, that all points in the favour of it not being available in those particular periods. And in this one as well, try and get third-party sign-off. So if you've got a company with a few directors, getting another director of the company to actually sign off when the car is available and when it's not, having to go to them to get permission, as it were, to use the car for certain times, all helps the argument to say that it's not available. So just an interesting court case there, which has been ticking around for a while, and it's gone up to the upper tribunal, who agreed with the first tier tribunal, and basically they said in this particular case, actually, the guy didn't do enough of this stuff unlike the previous case that used that as a kind of a benchmark, in this particular case, the guy with the Maserati and the vintage Ford didn't do enough of this stuff, number 2 in the Strand, to prevent it from not being available. And of course, number 1, that was battered straight out because he couldn't physically be prevented. So just an overview there on what does it mean to be available when we're talking about benefit in kind on company cars. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please do subscribe. And as always, I'll see you soon.